Many older adults wake up in the morning feeling a heavy, persistent, and deeply frustrating mental cloudiness that they simply cannot seem to shake off. You might find yourself walking into the kitchen only to stand in front of the refrigerator completely forgetting what you went in there to retrieve, struggling to recall the name of a lifelong neighbor during a casual chat in the driveway, or feeling a profound mental fatigue that leaves you reaching for cup after cup of coffee just to push through the mid-afternoon slump. The most terrifying aspect of this experience is the immediate, creeping fear that these everyday lapses represent the early warning signs of progressive dementia, Alzheimer's disease, or irreversible cognitive decay. It is incredibly easy to lie awake at night, worrying that your brain is actively failing, that your memory is permanently slipping away, and that your mental independence is coming to an end. But for the vast majority of people over the age of 50, this mental cloudiness, often referred to as brain fog, is not a formal medical diagnosis, nor is it an inevitable consequence of an aging brain. Instead, it is a direct, reversible biological reflection of specific daily lifestyle habits that are quietly draining your neural energy, restricting cerebral blood flow, and prematurely aging your mind. To understand why this happens, we must look at how the brain processes daily environmental input. Your brain is a highly sensitive organ that relies on a constant, precise supply of oxygen, glucose, and water to power its billions of neural connections. When you expose this delicate system to chronic dehydration, poor nutrition, irregular sleep schedules, and constant indoor sedentary habits, your brain cells are forced to operate under severe physiological stress. This stress manifests as slow processing speed, poor memory recall, and a persistent feeling of being mentally detached. Today, we are going to dive deep into the biological science of brain recovery. We will examine the specific ways typical daily routines overload your neurological stress systems, destabilize your cellular blood sugar, and starve your brain cells of essential hydration and capillary circulation. We will explain the crucial, distinct biological differences between functional, lifestyle-driven brain fog and progressive cognitive decline, helping to lift a massive weight of anxiety from your shoulders. Most importantly, we will outline the 5 daily behaviors you must stop immediately and provide you with a clear, practical, 48-hour recovery playbook to help you lift the mental cloud, restore your cognitive processing speed, and reclaim your sharpest mind. It is time to stop accepting chronic mental fatigue as a normal part of getting older and start giving your brain the physiological support it needs to stay sharp, clear, and focused. Before we examine the specific habits, we must address the massive psychological and emotional burden that many families carry when they confuse everyday brain fog with progressive dementia. It is extremely common to worry that forgetting where you parked your car at the grocery store, misplacing your glasses, or struggling to recall a familiar actor's name means your brain is permanently failing. However, functional brain fog is highly dynamic and fluctuates dramatically based on sleep quality, hydration, stress levels, and daily physical movement. If you have a poor night's sleep or eat a heavy, high-sugar meal, your thinking might feel slow, heavy, and cloudy the next day. But it improves once your physiological inputs change. Dementia, by contrast, is a progressive, persistent loss of cognitive function that does not clear with a weekend of rest, a glass of water, or a change in diet. It involves physical changes in the structure of the brain, such as the accumulation of plaques and tangles that permanently disrupt neural communication. A person with functional brain fog can still manage their finances, keep track of their medications, pay their bills, and navigate familiar driving routes with the help of extra effort, written lists, and calendar reminders. A person suffering from dementia, however, will experience increasing, persistent errors with these core daily activities that interfere with their safety and independence. They may get lost on a route they have driven for decades, struggle to understand the concept of time, or find themselves unable to manage basic household tasks. Understanding this difference is the first step in reclaiming your cognitive health. Your brain is not necessarily decaying. It may simply be reacting to the chronic chemical and physiological stress of your daily lifestyle habits. When you realize that your memory lapses are often caused by dehydration, sleep debt, or nutritional deficiencies, it empowers you to take control of your lifestyle and support recovery from these symptoms. By focusing on the factors you can control, you can support your brain's natural capacity for self-repair and maintenance. The fifth daily habit that is actively aging your mind is living a near-total sedentary lifestyle, combined with near-zero exposure to natural daylight. It is incredibly easy to fall into a routine where you spend your entire day sitting indoors, moving from the bed to the kitchen table, then to a chair to read or watch television, and rarely stepping outside into the sun. Many older adults assume that being sedentary simply affects their muscle strength, joint mobility, or physical endurance. But the biological reality is that your brain is a highly metabolic organ that relies entirely on physical movement to maintain its cellular structure and cognitive function. When you stay seated for most of the day, your brain's metabolism drops, leading to slower thinking and decreased focus. When you remain seated for hours at a time, your cardiovascular system slows down, resulting in a direct, measurable drop in blood circulation and oxygen delivery to your brain. Mechanically, your skeletal muscles, especially the large muscles in your legs and calves, act as secondary pumps that help return venous blood to your heart. When these muscles are inactive, blood pools in your lower limbs, cardiac output drops, and the arterial pressure driving blood flow up into your brain decreases. This means your brain cells receive less fresh oxygen and fewer vital nutrients with every heartbeat. Physical movement acts like a pump that stimulates the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. BDNF is a critical protein that acts like Miracle-Gro for your brain cells, promoting the growth, connection, and survival of new neurons in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. Without regular movement, BDNF production plummets, causing the connections between your brain cells to weaken over time. Staying indoors under artificial lighting all day completely desynchronizes your internal circadian clock, which is regulated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This master clock relies on specific wavelengths of light to keep your body's systems in sync. When morning blue light from the sun hits the specialized photoreceptors in your eyes, it signals your brain to suppress melatonin production and release cortisol, which wakes you up and boosts your cognitive focus. Without exposure to bright, natural morning daylight, your brain cannot produce optimal levels of cortisol in the morning, nor can it properly convert serotonin into melatonin at night to induce deep, restorative sleep. This combined lack of blood flow and circadian disruption leaves your brain cells operating in a low-energy, highly inflamed state, directly triggering chronic mental sluggishness. If you want to keep your brain young, you must break up long periods of sitting with movement and get natural light exposure early in the day. The fourth habit that is quietly aging your mind is a heavy dependence on ultra-processed, high-sugar, and trans-fat-rich foods. It is very common to rely on convenience foods like packaged snacks, ready-to-eat microwave meals, processed meats, sweetened cereals, and baked goods, assuming that as long as you watch your weight, your brain is safe. However, what you put in your mouth has a direct, immediate impact on the neurochemical environment inside your skull. Many of these foods contain artificial additives, preservatives, and processed fats that promote systemic inflammation and damage your blood vessels. When you consume ultra-processed foods, they cause rapid spikes and crashes in your blood sugar levels. Over time, these chronic metabolic swings trigger insulin resistance in the brain, preventing your brain cells from efficiently absorbing glucose, which is their primary source of energy. This metabolic strain is compounded by the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These harmful compounds form when excess sugar molecules bind to proteins in your bloodstream, causing structural damage to the delicate blood vessels in your brain. These highly processed ingredients promote systemic inflammation throughout the body. This chronic inflammation slowly damages the delicate blood-brain barrier, which acts as a protective shield for your central nervous system. When the blood-brain barrier is compromised, inflammatory proteins called cytokines can leak directly into your brain tissue. Once inside, these cytokines activate immune cells called microglia, causing them to trigger localized neuroinflammation. This chronic inflammatory state damages synapses and impairs communication between neurons, especially in the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for critical thinking and decision-making. Clinical studies, including research from Monash University and Harvard, have consistently shown that individuals who consume a high percentage of their daily calories from ultra-processed foods experience a significantly faster rate of cognitive decline and poorer executive focus compared to those who eat whole, natural foods. Every time you eat processed sugar and refined oils, you are triggering a temporary state of brain inflammation, leading to slow processing speed and memory recall issues. Breaking this habit requires returning to a diet rich in vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, and clean protein. The third daily habit that is draining your cognitive reserve is living in a state of chronic, mild dehydration and using the wrong beverages to satisfy your body's fluid needs. As we age, our body's natural thirst sensation declines dramatically because the receptors in our hypothalamus become less sensitive. Specifically, the osmoreceptors in the brain that detect changes in blood concentration become less reactive, meaning your body can be severely dehydrated before you ever feel the urge to drink. Many older adults can go an entire day without drinking a single glass of plain water, relying instead on multiple cups of coffee, tea, sodas, or sweet juices to stay hydrated. They assume that if they are not actively feeling thirsty, their body has enough fluid. This is a highly dangerous biological misconception. Your brain cannot function optimally when it is constantly starved of water. Your brain tissue is made of approximately 75% water. Even a tiny drop of just 1 to 2% in your total body hydration can significantly impair your concentration, slow your short-term working memory, and trigger physical headaches. When you are mildly dehydrated, your total blood volume drops, making your blood thicker, stickier, and harder to pump. This thickness increases the viscosity of your blood, raising the friction in your microvessels and slowing down the capillary flow in your brain. This directly reduces the perfusion pressure to your brain, meaning your brain cells receive less oxygen and essential nutrients on a minute-by-minute basis. Under these conditions, the dural membranes surrounding your brain can also begin to lose moisture and stretch, triggering localized pain receptors that cause dehydration headaches. Relying on sugary or heavily caffeinated drinks only compounds the problem, as they act as diuretics that force your kidneys to excrete even more water, or cause blood sugar crashes that mimic and worsen cognitive fatigue. Spacing clean, plain water throughout the day is a basic, non-negotiable requirement to maintain normal mental processing. Hydration is not just about drinking when you are dry. It is about keeping a constant, steady supply of water moving through your system to support vascular health and cellular function. The second habit that is aging your mind is using caffeine as a primary substitute for genuine rest and restorative sleep. When you experience mid-afternoon brain fog, a sudden energy crash, or morning fatigue, it is almost automatic to reach for another cup of coffee, a strong tea, or an energy drink. Many people consume over 400 milligrams of caffeine daily, often drinking it late into the afternoon or early evening. They believe that as long as they can physically fall asleep at night, late-day caffeine has no negative impact on their brain. This is a massive mistake. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is a chemical that naturally builds up in your brain during your waking hours, creating sleep pressure and signaling your body that it needs to rest and recover. While caffeine temporarily blocks these receptors and makes you feel alert, it does absolutely nothing to resolve your underlying sleep debt. Molecularly, caffeine binds to these receptors without activating them, preventing the real adenosine from delivering its calming, restorative signal. Even worse, caffeine has a half-life of up to 6 hours and a quarter life of up to 12 hours. This means that a cup of coffee consumed at 3 in the afternoon is still actively blocking your brain's ability to enter deep, slow-wave sleep at 9 that night and is still present in your system at 3 in the morning. This blocks your brain from entering stage 3 non-rapid eye movement sleep, which is the deepest, most physically restorative phase of your sleep cycle. Without this deep sleep, your brain cannot process memories or repair cellular damage. This leaves you with highly fragmented, low-quality sleep, forcing you to consume even more caffeine the next morning to function. This vicious cycle keeps your sympathetic nervous system in a constant state of hyperarousal, leading to chronic mental exhaustion, anxiety, and persistent brain fog. To break this cycle, you must restrict your caffeine use and establish a clear daily cutoff time to protect your sleep quality. The number one daily habit that is actively aging your mind is chronically poor sleep hygiene, driven by late-night screen use and inconsistent sleep schedules. Many older adults watch television in bed, check their smartphones late at night, or take long, irregular naps during the day. They assume that a mismatched sleep schedule simply makes them tired, but the biological reality is that it halts your brain's essential self-cleaning process. When you deprive your brain of deep sleep, you are allowing toxic metabolic waste to accumulate inside your head. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain activates a highly specialized waste clearance system called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a nightly neurological cleanup crew. In this state, glial cells shrink, and the space between your brain cells expands by up to 60%. This expansion allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow rapidly through the brain tissue, facilitated by specialized water channels called aquaporin 4 on astrocytic end feet. This fluid flow washes away toxic metabolic wastes that build up during the day, including amyloid beta and tau proteins, which are linked to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. When you use screens late at night, the bright blue light suppresses your pineal gland's production of melatonin, delaying your entry into deep sleep. Melatonin is the hormone that signals to every cell in your body that it is time to transition into a recovery state. Without it, you stay in a state of sympathetic dominance, which blocks the glymphatic system from activating. Fragmented sleep or an inconsistent sleep schedule halts this vital glymphatic clearance, causing metabolic waste to accumulate in your brain tissue. This accumulation directly manifests the next morning as a thick, heavy brain fog that impairs memory consolidation and leaves you feeling mentally exhausted. Protecting your sleep is the single most important thing you can do to maintain cognitive function as you age. Fortunately, you have the power to lift this mental cloud and help your brain recover. By implementing 5 simple, practical changes over the next 48 hours, you can experience a noticeable improvement in your focus, memory, and mental energy. These steps are designed to be senior-friendly, realistic, and highly effective. First, execute a strict sleep reset. Keep your wake-up time consistent every single day, even on weekends, to anchor your circadian rhythm. Stop using all screens 60 minutes before bed and place your phone in another room. If you need to nap during the day, keep it under 30 minutes and do it before 3 in the afternoon to protect your sleep pressure. Second, implement a caffeine curfew. Stop all caffeinated drinks by early afternoon, allowing your brain's adenosine levels to rise naturally for deep sleep. If you need a warm beverage in the afternoon, choose decaffeinated options or herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint. Third, restructure your hydration. Keep a dedicated, marked water bottle next to your favorite chair. Instead of trying to drink large glasses of water all at once, aim for small, regular sips of plain water throughout the day. Replace sweet sodas and juices with water infused with cucumber or lemon. Fourth, Reduce ultra-processed foods by replacing just one processed snack or convenience meal a day with whole foods. Choose snacks that support brain health, such as a handful of raw walnuts, a bowl of fresh blueberries, or a plate of sliced vegetables. These foods are packed with antioxidants and healthy fats that reduce neuroinflammation. Finally, introduce morning movement and light. Take a short, 10-minute walk outside within an hour of waking up. If you cannot walk outside, sit by a bright window or on your porch. This sets your circadian clock, halts daytime melatonin production, and boosts cerebral blood flow. When you implement these resets together, you are tackling all 5 brain-aging habits at once. You are increasing blood flow to your brain cells, reducing neuroinflammation, restoring your circadian rhythm, and allowing your brain's glymphatic cleaning system to work at maximum capacity. This comprehensive approach ensures that you are supporting your cognitive reserve from every angle, helping your mind stay sharp, clear, and active. The medical and health information presented in this episode is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, clinical diagnosis, or specialized treatment. Always consult with your personal physician or a licensed healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet, exercise routine, or sleep habits, particularly if you have underlying heart or kidney conditions. Never ignore professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard in this video. Functional brain fog is a warning signal from your cardiovascular and metabolic systems, not a life sentence of cognitive decline. Your brain has an incredible capacity for recovery and neuroplasticity once you stop exposing it to daily chemical and physical stressors. Consider the encouraging story of Sarah, a 72-year-old grandmother who felt her memory was fading so rapidly that she feared she was developing dementia. She found herself forgetting appointments, misplacing her keys, and struggling to participate in conversations with her grandchildren. This left her feeling isolated and deeply anxious about her future. After analyzing her daily habits, she realized she was chronically dehydrated, sleeping poorly while keeping the bedroom television on, and drinking 3 cups of coffee a day to push through the fatigue. Within just 1 week of turning off the television, drinking plain water, and walking in the morning sun, her mental cloudiness lifted completely. On a physiological level, her blood volume restored, reducing the thickness of her blood and improving oxygen delivery to your brain cells. Her glymphatic system, finally active during deep sleep, cleared out accumulated metabolic wastes. Her circadian rhythm reset, allowing her to wake up naturally with energy and focus. She reclaimed her memory, her quick wit, and her confidence. She was once again able to manage her daily activities without confusion, proving that her brain was not decaying, but was simply operating under severe physiological stress. Your brain wants to heal. You simply need to provide the correct inputs. Monitor your daily behaviors. Implement these simple resets and secure your cognitive longevity for the years ahead.